everyone, today's video was requested by several of you. You asked, how should you use your planner for goal setting, for goal tracking, and for goal achievement? And these are all great questions. So to prepare for today's video, I decided to read a book called The 12-Week Year. And today I'm going to share how I'm incorporating what I learned about goal setting into my planner. Imagine yourself achieving a goal a year from now. Maybe that's losing 10 pounds or running a 10K or starting a blog or something else entirely. Are you going to feel compelled to start working towards that goal this moment? Or maybe you could wait a week. After all, you have a year, right? Now imagine yourself achieving that goal just 12 weeks from now. Do you feel more of a sense of urgency? 12 weeks really is not that far away. The authors of the 12-Week Year support the notion that achieving your goals in 12-week increments rather than 12 months will allow you to achieve what you would have achieved in a year in just 12 weeks. This phenomenon could be explained by Parkinson's law, which says that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Meaning that if you, for example, give yourself just 2 weeks to complete something that could be done in a day, it will probably take you 2 weeks to complete that. And the authors believe that planning out your goals a year at a time can make you more likely to procrastinate because you think that you can just catch up later on because you'll have more time then. It also can allow you to move in the wrong direction because you don't have a clear understanding of what your next steps should be. And that's because it is so difficult to predict where your life is going to be in 12 months from now. When you think about it in a 12-week increment, you have a much better idea of what's going to be going on in your life and what your steps for achieving that goal should be. If we break that year down into 4 parts, then we can have a clearer understanding of what is possible. The process of setting up your 12-week year can be broken down into 4 steps. Step 1 is to create a compelling vision. Step 2 is planning. Step 3 is your weekly routine. And step 4 is the final review. Step 1, create a compelling vision. What is standing between you and your goals? For me, a lot of the times, it's just me running away from a feeling of discomfort. Here's a quote from the book that really helps me to think about the way I'm living my life. The secret to living your life to its potential is to value the important stuff above your own comfort. When you are working towards your goals, life is going to happen. According to the book, you have to have a reason why you want to achieve that goal so you can push through those moments when things go wrong and when you are experiencing that discomfort. We're going to start by writing down our aspirational vision, meaning what do you want your life to look like in the future? And imagine how you will feel when you achieve this vision that you have for your life. Maybe you want to run a successful small business, or maybe you want to provide your children with a positive role model and a foundation for success. Maybe you want to change the world in some way. For me, I want to help others to understand that they belong, that they matter, and that they have a purpose. Specifically, I want to start a ministry that provides free childcare and job skill development as well as stress relief classes to underserved women. This is my why. But why do we need to write this down? There are studies that show that it can be beneficial. For example, in 2007, Dr. Gail Matthews set out to answer this question. He had 267 participants divided into 5 groups. One of the groups was told to critically think about and rate their goal and the tools they had to accomplish it. Another group did the same as group 1, but also wrote down the goal. On average, the group that wrote down their goals was 1.4 times more likely to achieve the goal than the group that only critically thought about their goal. Writing down a goal helps you to clarify that goal and to achieve that goal. Then the authors say to describe in as much detail as possible what a great personal and professional life would look like 3 years from today. Personally, I want to be actively volunteering. I want to be meeting people who could potentially teach me about what it takes to start a ministry. I want to be saving up funds that could be used towards this ministry. And I want to learn how to develop new streams of income that can be used towards it. For step 2, we're going to plan our 12-week goal, our tactics, and our measurements. Now we're going to set our first 12-week goal. Keep in mind that 12-week goals, along with the tactics, need to be specific and measurable, meaning how many sales calls are you going to make? How many miles are you going to run? It needs to be something that you can measure so you know if you're making progress or not. They need to be positive. So instead of saying, I am going to stop buying meals when I am at work, you could say, I'm going to start bringing lunches that I prepare at home to work to save money. They need to be accounted for. The authors recommend having something called a weekly accountability meeting. And this is more so for a source of encouragement rather than a scolding. It's supposed to be a time where you kind of reflect on what went wrong, what you can do to prevent what went wrong from happening again, and also kind of reviewing the progress that you've made so far. They need to be realistic and attainable. So if you have never run a mile before in your life, it's not realistic to try to run a marathon within the next 12 weeks. You know what is realistic for you, so make sure that you're keeping that in mind when you're setting your 12-week goal. They need to have a deadline. So what is the date that these tasks need to be completed by? We're going to write those down in just a moment. To give you some examples from the book about what 12-week goals can look like. The first example was to close $105,000 in new business, to lose 10 pounds, and to improve my relationship with Carol. Now write down your 12-week goal, and then beneath that answer, why is your 12-week goal important to you? If you hit it, what will be different? My 12-week goal is to save $1,000 over the next 12 weeks. Why is this important to me? Because it will allow me to take the first steps toward saving up for starting a ministry. If I hit this goal, what will be different? I will be $1,000 closer to achieving my 3-year goal. Then make a column for tactics and a column for due dates. So we're going to break down our 12-week goal into small actionable steps, and we're going to set deadlines for each of them. So think about what needs to be done first before you can move on. What needs to be done second? For the goal, close $105,000 in new business. Tactic number 1 was to ID top and profile opportunities to close within next 12 weeks. And that was due for week 1. Then call a minimum of 5 prospects per week to schedule meetings and schedule a minimum of 3 per week. And this is due each week. For the goal of lose 10 pounds, their first tactic was to limit calorie intake to 1,200 calories or less per day, and that was due each week. Join a gym, due week 1. For their goal of improving their relationship with Carol, they wanted to have a date night without the kids once a week, and that was due each week. Some examples of my tactics and due dates are to create a new monthly budget, due week 1, update my expenses, due every day, cook all meals at home instead of buying, which is due every week starting on week 5. After you are done writing down each of those actionable steps that you're going to take to achieve your goal, then answer the questions: what actions will you struggle with? What will you do to overcome those struggles? What actions will I struggle with? For example, it will be hard for me to not buy more planner supplies and have to use up the ones that I already have. How will I overcome these struggles? I will block tempting websites on my computer like Michaels or Joanne.com. Then you want to decide how you're going to measure the success of your goals. So for example, if you want to lose 10 pounds, it's of course a good idea to track how many pounds you've lost so far, but the authors really recommend tracking things that are more in your control, your actions. So for example, you could track the number of calories you're eating, the number of miles you ran, the number of glasses of water that you drink, or the number of minutes that you've spent working out, etc. And I probably wouldn't go overboard with the number of measurements that you're taking. Maybe stick to around 1 to 3 for each goal, and then go from there. Then you need to decide how often will you be logging those measurements. Are you going to be writing down the number of calories that you eat every day? Are you going to be weighing in once a week? Which days are you going to be writing down the number of miles you ran? For myself, I'm going to be scheduling in logging measurements in my planner because I will forget if I don't do that. For my measurements, because I want to update my expenses daily, I'm going to be keeping track of that. And I'm also going to be graphing my percentage completion score, which I'll go over in just a moment, as well as tracking the total amount I've saved, which I'm using this insert for. Step 3 is the weekly routine. This is a 15-minute review and planning session that should occur either before your week begins or at the very beginning of your week, according to the authors. The review session starts out with scoring yourself. So you look at your tactics from the previous week and you count up the ones that you completed, then divide it by the total number of tactics that could have been completed. So let's say you have 4 tactics, you completed 3 successfully. That means you have a percentage completion score of 75%. And the authors recommend that you reach a minimum of 85% each week in order to make sure that you are making progress. The next part of that 15-minute section is your weekly plan. To do this, all you need to do is go to your 12-week goal and look at the tactics that you have made do during the week that you're planning out and transfer that information into your planner. So for example, let's say that I have setting up my budget due on that Tuesday. So I'm going to write down in my planner that I need to set up my budget. You want to make sure that these tactics are held as top priority tasks for the day that you have scheduled them in for, so that you can ensure that they do get completed. And to do this, the authors recommend time blocking. So essentially, you are setting an appointment with yourself to work on these tactics until they're completed, so that you don't get distracted with all of the different things that are going on in your day. So let's say, for example, I want to work out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Then I would probably schedule a time block for my workout somewhere in the mornings so that I can get it done with, and then I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to achieve my tactics for that day or not. I have a video that discusses time blocking in a Happy Planner, and I'll link that in the description down below for you if you want to learn more about this topic. Let's go over specifically how I am planning this into my week. Here we have week 7. In the sidebar, I've written down a list of reminders of what tactics are due this week, according to that 12-week year insert that you saw earlier. For example, during week 7, I need to bring water to work instead of buying coffee. I need to transfer $75 into savings, etc. Beneath that, I have a habit tracker that says update expenses, because this is one of my goals that needs to be done every single day. And beneath that, I will write down my weekly percentage score where it says weekly score. I have also time blocked out the entire week using stickers. I have a morning routine from 6 to 9, work from 9 to 5, my after work routine starts at 5, and evening routine at 8 o'clock. And between the after work routine and the evening routine, I have this time block where I focus on my to-dos. This is where I've written down some of my tactics based on their due date. So for example, on Monday, I've scheduled into Block Planner Supplies websites. There are some tactics that need to occur on work days, so I've scheduled that in for Monday through Friday, like bringing water to work instead of buying coffee, or cooking all meals at home. My weekly accountability meeting is scheduled for 4 p.m. on Saturday, and my weekly routine is scheduled for 5 p.m. on Sunday. I'm basically making appointments with myself to get these done. I've also scheduled in to log the amount that I've saved on that savings tracker insert, and I scheduled that in for Saturday. So every single tactic has been scheduled into a specific day. The third part of this weekly routine is called the weekly accountability meeting. And this essentially involves meeting with someone else, hopefully around 2 to 4 people. But if that's not possible, then maybe one person. And if you don't have one person to meet with, I would just write down the answers to these questions in your planner, just to keep track and to internalize the progress that you're making. For this weekly accountability meeting for myself, my plan is just to spend a few minutes each week meeting with my husband, discussing my percentage completion score and the progress that I've made, and also the setbacks and how I can possibly overcome those setbacks in the future. Step number 4 is what I'm calling the final review. So you continue to have your weekly routine throughout all 12 weeks. At the end of the 12 weeks, you want to review the progress that you've made, what you've learned, what went wrong, what's different now, and reconnect with your aspirational vision so you can make sure that once again you are focused on your long-term goal. And then you want to set your next 12-week goal. Most of us have dreams and goals for our life, and we know that we are capable of so much more. We just don't know how to access that next level. Hopefully you can use the tools and information that we've discussed today to do what you've always wanted to do and to turn those dreams into reality. I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.
Now that I'm